HR, which manages the entire life cycle of an employee, right from the day you join an organization, right from your onboarding, recruitment, to your performance management, till the time you exit a firm. This function is your touch point, right? Every single time you get back to them. So I'm going to talk about today how can HR as a function can transform itself using people analytics from being a support function to a business partner or driving the strategy goals. So let's get started. I'm going to cover today's agenda in 4 points. The first one is I'm going to talk about what is people analytics, why is it important, and how do we actually implement it in an organization. Second one is what are the challenges in implementing people analytics. The third one is what are the solutions possible in people analytics area. And the final one is some of the solutions. I'll give you a glimpse of what we have already implemented in our firm. Okay, so what is people analytics? I would want to hear from the audience what actually is people analytics about. Can I have some show of hands here? Okay, I was expecting somebody to know something about HR analytics. Yeah, please.
Basically, all the functions which can be done better through analytics, right? The performance management. In one way, the current method is very very subjective a lot of times, and we can look at the past or the education, performance, and a lot of other things. Put them in a model and just have a very objective evaluation of how the person has done over a period of time. We can use analytics in understanding the rewards packages, rolling out a survey. So there are a lot of existing solutions which sit in this space where you actually leverage analytics to do a better job of managing people.
I saw another hand. Okay, all right. So that's right. Actually, there's much more to HR analytics. It's people analytics. Right now, we call only in terms of HR, but yeah, it's customer analytics as well because you're talking about people. Customers are also people, right? But it's usually used in HR analytics area. Now, it's a process of collecting all your data, right? You have a lot of data about the employees. You have right from your recruitment to what was their appraisal, what did they really tell you during the exit interviews, right? Everything we have, and can we analyze and make some meaning out of it, right? It is also finding the patterns, right? Can you figure out what is wrong with my firm, why people are suddenly leaving, right? Or what is good about my firm, why people join, right? So all these questions could be answered through analytics. Also, it enables your HR leaders, right, to actually make data-driven decisions and not intuition-based. It typically has been happening for a very long time, and not just HR, it happens in all the industries actually. Okay, so important. Obviously, data is collected at an HR level. We have millions of HRMS systems in place. But the question is, why do you need a separate analytics team to drive HR function? Right? Cannot HR simply look at the data they already have, can't simply analyze it, right? This is actually a very important question to answer because in my role, I've been dealing with almost everybody in the HR team, right from your business partners to recruitments to the people who manage branch operations. And this is what I have seen. All these data typically lies in a form of an Excel sheet, right? And Excel, in case it goes beyond 10 lakh records, it gets really cumbersome. It's very difficult to really understand, analyze, and make meaning out of it. Secondly, it's raw data, right? You need some skill to understand and generate insights out of it. In case it's more complex in nature, basic ones obviously HR teams are pretty good at it. Some complex questions which I've listed, some of them here are very important. For example, right, who's going to arrive in the next 1 year, right? Very important question because in case you have to do attrition management, right, and predict because you have to backfill your employees as well. Now, second question, every firm spends a lot of money in L&D, right? Tons of courses we find in our organizations. And are they really working, right? Or is it just for the sake of being there, right? What do you want to derive in terms of performance, right? You would want some outcomes. Can you really figure out, are they driving outcomes, right? Every firm, whenever we join, right, it takes some time for us to be productive. We are not productive right away. And typically it happens that the person joins an organization, he becomes productive. By the time he is productive and really making something for the company, he decides to leave, right? So a considerable amount of investment has gone from the organization side, which is not really reaping any results. Questions like these could be answered with HR analytics. Also, how long does it take to hire an employee is very important because for any planning purpose, right, you would want to hire employees, you want an X timeline to be met. And in case we don't know, right, how long it really takes, there are people who come join us, leave us very immediately. Early attrition happens a lot of time. Right? How do we really tackle all these practical issues? Is where HR analytics comes. Okay, these are the 4 types of people analytics. It's not only 4 types of people analytics, it's in general type, all analytics have these 4 types. The first one is descriptive analytics. We call it descriptive, we do a lot of EDA or exploratory data analysis to understand the baseline, right? What is there, what are the trends, right? Once I know the trends, then only I'll be able to do some analytics on top of it. So preparing the baseline, understanding what is there is your descriptive form. The second one is diagnostic analysis. So in case I see something is happening, can I figure out the root cause of it, right? And can I really make an attempt to fix it? Is the second type of analytics. The third one is your predictive analytics, in which we are trying to predict something. It is the most favorite topic of all budding data scientists these days because people just jump onto predictive analytics. Everybody in the world wants to do predictive, but without the first 2, your predictive will not work. Predictive requires a lot of knowledge and experience in the domain to actually make it work, because I was reading some report, it was 20% of your models are actually deployed and produce outcomes, right? And in case I look at analytics, in the analytics world, right, models are hardly 10 to 20% of your entire work. So you imagine what is the outcome we are driving out of it, right? I mean, analytics is not just about predictive. The last one is prescriptive analytics, which the whole world wants to do. Even we are aspiring to be there. It's on prescriptive because we are an analytics team doesn't mean our business is ready and taking interest in all the outcomes which we are suggesting, right? Analytics team actually plays 2 roles, 2 kind of roles in different organizations. First one is executor, the second one is a recommender. In terms of executor, you are supposed to execute whatever your business team says. They want to do some analysis, quick dirty analysis, just give it to me. And we'll see, in case we really want to implement, we will implement, otherwise we will not. Right? The other one is recommendation, where it usually comes from the top up. In case your leaders really take analytics as an important function, they will expect a recommendation to be coming from the analytics team. This is where your descriptive analytics come into picture. It is dependent on the first 3 ones. In case you understand the business really well, you know the root cause, you can do some predictive stuff, and then you can move to prescriptive in suggesting what needs to be done. Okay, so the question again for the audience: HR analytics is important. The world knows analytics is everywhere. Why not many firms are already there? This is a function which is not very touched by analytics as such. But what do you think? What are the challenges could be? Yeah.
No data.
Okay. What else?
Data security of personal data.
Yeah. Okay.
Interest from leadership.
Alright, all the answers are right. There are many more. I've listed 4 here. Primarily lack of analytical workforce in the organization. So, usually from an analytics setup perspective, in case I have to do HR analytics, either the HR team is itself going to do it, or I'm going to hire maybe in-house analytics team, or maybe outsource to other firms, right? So we usually don't have. And see, from an HR perspective, the teams are more strategy oriented. They really are not too keen on be a data scientist and solve for XYZ complex problems, right? So from an analytics perspective, they need to know. These days, analytics has moved to a very advanced stage that generative AI, the whole world wants to talk about generative AI implemented in the organization, right? So people who don't know AI or understand AI, either you can create it yourself or either you are a consumer of analytics. Somewhere AI is going to touch you, right? In any function, not just HR, any function will have it as a touch point, right? So lack of skills definitely means a lot. Second one is lack of alignment with a business strategy. This is what I have seen in my organization, though HR plays a very important support role. For example, we are opening a lot of branches in the country. So we had a mandate of opening 100 branches within 1 year, right? So But branches are what? Branches comprise of people who can run it, right? You have sales people, you have underwriters. From a lending perspective, I'm telling because I'm from Pyramid Finance. So operations people are there who are going to disburse your check, right? But I have an XYZ opening date. So hypothetically, I'm opening a new branch in May. Branch cannot open itself, right? It needs infra, it needs people. So HR team has to be informed much in advance, and you need to hire people by XYZ date. So at the time I'm opening my branch, it's fully functional with nearly 80 to 100% of the people staff which I have budgeted for, right? Usually it doesn't happen like that, right? So the time period is very short. Then HR teams comes back and saying we have 30 days notice, we have 60 days notice. How do we hire suddenly 400 people, right? So it's very difficult. So in case the strategies, in case you're not aligned, the company isn't aligning HR, business can't run in practical terms. Then lack of data required, yes. Data required is a very difficult problem because it exists in silos. There are many tools which companies employ, one for recruitment, one for your HRMS, several tools are there. Data exists in silos, right? Bringing it all together, making sense of it really takes a lot of time and energy and patience to solve for it. Also, I'll give another example which I have seen in my career. Usually in a firm, sometimes managers move, right? So in XYZ organization you join, you might have seen, in case you stay for 2-3 years, you will see nearly 2 or 3 managers switch for you, right? But when I look at a data perspective, in case I have to solve for a problem, like this person is moving because manager moved, right? Or why this person is writing, I will have no clue that it's 2 or 3 managers has changed already, right? I will only know latest manager, this time this XYZ person joined as his manager, and that's all, right? So I will not be able to drive any insight of it, or even if I do, it will be garbage and garbage, right? So practically, with HR data, yes, it creates a lot of problem in driving our insights. Another example I would want to cite from my experience only, people abscond, right? I'm not talking about a tech kind of setup. I'm talking about a branch setup where you have nearly 6,000 people in the country, in 400 branches, and we extend offers to people. They come, they stay for 10 days, and they abscond. And the time it reflects in a portal or the HR gets to know it's already a month, right? And when we are drawing our early attrition curve, we are seeing everything is good, our attrition is declining, and suddenly next month we draw, we see, okay, attrition is the same or even going up. So what is happening, right? So absconding analysis we can't do, right? Because people are absconding, you are backdating entry you are putting in, and we have no idea how to actually solve for it. Suddenly you see your attrition is going up and nothing changed with what actually changed attrition. So data is very important, sanity, governance is very important. First, the last one is analytics is not a priority for the organization. Most of the companies, yes, make use of analytics in certain capacity, but for example, a CPG company or a FMCG company will more focus on sales or a supply chain oriented analytics. Finance will more look for a typical traditionally risk, fraud, collections, etc. kind of analytics. That is why HR function or functions which are mostly support in nature will not take a predominance over the analytics the company wants to do. Right? That is why this function isn't really a lot heavy on analytics so far. Okay, so talking about solutions in the people analytics phase. Okay, so right from your recruitment and selection to your engagement and retention, performance, training and development, workforce planning. This is the entire life cycle HR manages for an employee, and there are several solutions possible in this case. Solutions are this. Hopefully and thankfully we are able to solve most of it, which I have listed down here. There are many more, but I am talking about the ones which we have already made an attempt or actually in WIP process. I'll talk about recruitment and selection. So the first one is hiring model, right? It's little fancy and far-fetched an idea at this stage because we want to hire only from the CVs, right? Can I look at your CV and hire directly and would want to classify you as a good hire or a bad hire basis performance, right? So preemptively, I'm looking at some characteristics of your profile and put you into buckets that will you turn out to be a good performer or a bad performer, right? Can we do an automated hiring using hiring model? It will require several steps like having an automated resume parser in place, creating those predictive models, and then finally predicting whether this person should do an interview or should be a right away select. The second one is video analytics. This is a little interesting because from a recruitment process perspective, we have seen that sometimes people who are on video calls, usually we have video calls in hiring these days, and the person who ends up joining, we are not sure because different people took different routes, right? And round 1 was taken by somebody and some person else appeared, round 2 is somebody else. Who's connecting the dots, and finally the person who joins is the same, right? How do we really know that? Very difficult, right? So usually in our organization we have a proctored interview. I'm talking in context of bulk hiring, not hiring for tech where we have roles are far and few and we can spend enough amount of time. Person who took the proctored video interview with us and the person who joined are the same. Can we do a video analytics or an image matching kind of thing there to figure out whether they were the same? The second one is engagement and retention. Right. So, from an engagement perspective, there are all sorts of employees in our organization, more than 6,000 people. First thing, how do I define their performance? Right? What performance mean? What do you mean by performance? Is the most important question. Right? How do you define KPIs for them? Right? And in case I managed to define the KPIs for them, can I segment them in some way and figure out who's my top performer? Which bucket is actually my top performer, which one is next to best, the next one is average performers and not so good performers, right? So employee segmentation, again, when you have a lot of people, usually in our teams we have intuition, right? We know this person is good, this person isn't good. But when we are making some strategy at the corporate level, we need this visibility. Okay, my favorite topic, attrition prediction, who's going to attrite in the next 2 months, is very important, was very important and still is very important for my organization because annualized attrition was nearly 100%, right? So which means every year we are seeing everybody going, right? And new people are joining in. This I'm talking from a sales perspective only because in sales the churn rate is much higher. The last one is survey analytics in this bucket. Every company in your firm you must have seen surveys coming in, right? You are filling those surveys, those mood surveys, are you feeling happy, sad, etc. What works, what doesn't work, right? It comes to the analytics team to solve for those surveys. The management would want to understand what is working well for which department and which department has that delta or the gap which we can fill in and what is required for them to work on. Okay, the third thing is performance. It's beyond appraisals. It's about having a productivity scorecard for every employee, figuring out who's doing well, who is not. We have, in my company, we managed to create a productivity scorecard for all the departments, be it a credit underwriter, be it a salesperson, be it a branch operations guys. We have managed to create that. The second one is on retention planning, right? So from the above bracket, we understood that employee segmentation wise, this person is good. But how much shall I do a proactive long-term incentive kind of engagement or shall I do a reactive? Once he has an offer, he puts down his papers and you are all out to retain him that I'll give you XYZ amount of hike, please stay with us. Right? So retention planning project, again, we have executed in our firm. And not so happy one is a PIP management, right? PIP setup is usually based on the whims and fancies of the manager. That person is saying this person is not performing. Manager tells the HR creates a PIP letter, is given 3 months time, in case he's not able to do well, he's asked to quit, right? Can we make PIP from an unstructured organization task to a very structured one which has logical conclusions and the person will also know himself that, okay, I'm going to go on PIP in case I don't meet these targets, right? So he himself has certain awareness about it. Okay, training and development, again, we spend a lot of money. Effectiveness of an L&D program, right? Does it really work for me? Especially in tech setups, we've seen a lot of courses on, at least from analytics side, I can tell you the new gen courses about deep learning, XYZ to machine learning. But how is it really driving the organization in attaining the outcomes which they would want to? Are you really upskilling, right? Are you really doing something meaningful and which is beneficial, right? Are you, from a services perspective, are you bringing in more skills which can actually help you build yourself to a customer and get those projects on, right? From in-house analytics perspective, for effectiveness of L&D, we have done a project in our organization for sales team because once they join in, the way it works in our industry is, suppose you want to buy a home loan, right? And you go to a branch, you see any branch, maybe ICICI, Piramal, Bajaj, and you go and you say, okay, I want a personal loan or I want a home loan. A salesperson is going to interact with you right away. He's going to ask you, please bring all the documents. This is a sales lead generation has happened, right? And then you as a required to submit your documents. A credit underwriter is going to assess you whether you fit the bill or not. In case they say, okay, all good, we can extend a loan. It can, branch operations guys is going to contact you and they're going to say, okay, please get a check, okay, and we are done, right? Here, lead generation is very important. Also, in my situation, the one which I just mentioned, you already are a prospect, right? But prospects are not that easy to find, right? There are people who are just roaming around because we serve Bharat. Maybe a consumer, a small consumer shop, somebody said, I want to buy a loan, but I can't really find it. This person says, okay, I know a contact in XYZ firm, they can help you, right? So this becomes a lead, right? And the lead is coming through a connector or a channel partner. This person is helping you drive that home loan and we are giving certain commission on it, right? So all these touch points, right? Whether I can bring a file, whether I can disburse a loan, I can bring value to the company, right? Is it really helping, right? Effectiveness of your program, and should I make some changes to it? Last is workforce planning. As I cited an example already that new branches are opening, we want to maybe do a replacement hiring, right? How do I plan in advance? How much should I be, what should be my run rate, right? How much should I be offering every single day so that I meet my targets by XYZ date, right? We can touch that branch opening time. And of course, our very favorite exit interviews. Everybody gives it. Some people just take it with a pinch of salt. Some people really act upon it. It's a lot of unstructured data which gets generated. Could be solved through NLP. We are still not there. We are still gathering where exit interviews are everywhere because 400 branches, so many people. Yes, it's still in process. Okay, 3 steps to HR analytics. The first one, creating a working HR dashboard. Dashboard in general is very important for any organizations. You are judging your numbers every single day. How am I doing, right? Baseline, which we call in our colloquial terms in analytics. First, understand the baseline, then only you will be able to do some analytics on top of it, right? So have a working HR dashboard with all the baselines in place, and then you would want to see what shall I move up, what shall I move down, what activity or what use case I would want to predict, I would want to pick up to actually influence it, right? So have working HR dashboard in place. The second one is insightful HR dashboard. This is a little tricky because usually we create reports in a form of standard PI. The onus is on the user, right? The consumer. He is supposed to see and figure out what insight am I going to draw out of it, right? There's just numbers, some graphs, some charts are there. You understand yourself. So from data to information is a big leap, right? And it's actually tricky. What do you want to see on a very regular level, right? So second one is having an insight on top of it, right? Or not just data thrown in a dashboard format. Again, third topic, very favorite one, predictive HR analytics. There are many use cases which are possible in predictive. I'm going to talk about one of them, which we have actually implemented in our firm. Everybody would want to do that. Predictive analytics in an HR setup is very, very tricky because it's all human behavior, right? And human behavior having a tangible output or having in a data format is very, very difficult, right? So that is why many of these projects which we do, which has human angle to it, are very difficult for us to really have a one model set up at one time and we are done. It's not like that. We need to keep refreshing, understanding what is changing, what is not. Okay, so business problems solved through people analytics. I'm going to talk about 3 business problems, primarily just touch upon, not very detailed one, but I'll voice over most of the content which we managed to solve. Okay, so first one is employee attrition prediction model. This one is my favorite. We have spent nearly 9 to 10 months in solving for it on what is wrong, why are we not able to create a employee attrition prediction model very accurately. Okay, so objective. As I've already mentioned, our annualized attrition was upwards of 80%, right? Too high. So the company said, can we really figure out who's going to actually put down their papers in the next 2 months? Can you predict that? And can we proactively reach out to them to understand what is your problem, everything okay? Maybe HR will reach out, maybe zonal managers, maybe senior people from the company will reach out. And design correct intervention. Interventions will be different for different people. Obviously, if we predict 300 people are going to resign next month, 300 can't be interventions will not be a standard one. It will be different, right? Some people are good performers will have higher management talk to them. Some people who are not good performers, they are going to what, right? It's still okay, you can let them go. Okay, factors at play. These are the factors at play which I have listed down. The first one is behavior. Okay, so there will be multiple factors, not just one. External and internal factors both come at picture. For example, I join an organization, it's been 6 months and I see everybody suddenly leaving, right? Management is leaving, my team, few people have put down their papers, suddenly it triggers me for something wrong, am I at the right place, shall I also think outside, right? So it could be an external trigger, or internal could be a trigger, which could be, okay, the office is too far from my home, right? Every morning I need to attend that morning huddle, right? What is the distance between your location versus where you stay? Are you having sudden, frequent planned absence, unplanned absences? We have an induction plan in place. Usually companies have. You have a boot camp. Are you attending the boot camp? It tells you right away if a person is not interested. In terms of progression, yes, it's important pay scale. Are you at a pay scale which is lower than your peers, right? People usually talk amongst themselves and they get to know what pay scales your peers are at. Is it low? Possibility, yes, the person might be. Because we have created this for the sales team, are you earning incentives, right? Incentives is very important because more than 50% of your salary comes from incentives, right? So, are you making enough incentives or not? In case you are not, most likely you are going to leave. In terms of career progression, am I at the same role for a long time, right? Again, it rings a bell in a person's mind. Okay, in terms of productivity, again an external factor here, some ones I have mentioned in red, team attrition I have already covered. Has my manager exit, right? And maybe I have good relations with him, I'll also go along, right? This is a possibility. Manager performance. In case your manager isn't a good performer, chances are people are not happy, might or might not be happy with him or her. So again, people might make up a mind to leave. Happiness, yes. Your mood surveys, right? What are you actually filling in your mood surveys in case they are not anonymous in nature, right? So we get to know a lot of detail from mood surveys. So performance rating, yes. In case you were expecting a good rating and you didn't, because this is appraisal season. Already, in case I was looking at a higher, exceed expectations, I got to meet expectations. Yes, might be thinking of moving on. Then PIP. Accidentally, if somebody is on PIP, majority of them will leave, right? Or maybe asked to leave. Very few people come out of PIP is what I had seen, both in tech as well as a sales scenario. Many people preemptively they just take it as a mark in their career and they simply. Okay, past situation. Yeah, this is an interesting one, and this is what we have seen also in our outputs. People are actually a job hopper. So every few years they would want to switch, just for the sake of switching because I'll get good hikes. So is there a reason why this could be a factor at play? Why I would want to attend? Okay, so this is a model. This is a little not too technical, a little on a problem construct because we wanted to predict the next 2 months. So we have put a stacked up approach here. Active headcount as of, we have put a date here because this is when we started creating our model. People who were active as of Feb, what is the likelihood they are going to resign in the next 2 months? Same people in the next, majority of your people will continue, few people will keep dropping off, right? When we started solving for this problem, we were thinking, we were simply doing test, train, validation, test and train very well, doing very good results, but validation was just dropping suddenly. We had no idea why it was happening. We started solving for overfitting problem. We nearly for 1.5 months we solved for overfitting and then we realized no, it is not overfitting. It is the same set of population. You have a same set of people in training set, you have the same set of people in validation set. So same people are repeating, the changes have to be very different to really figure out who's going to leave, right? The factors which we see are important. So we have stacked up these two, like the performance as of Feb, performance as of April, and then we have created a predictive model of validation set on June. In our data set, employees were X number of employees, nearly 15% were resigning in this bucket, and in the validation set, nearly 10%. Okay, so this is the best model so far we could manage to create. This is a gain chart. Third decile nearly 60% or more. Fourth decile nearly 80%, I would want to call it like that. Our AUC was 0.73 best so far which we could create. It was a matter of pride for us when we created this. We showed to the entire management that we were able to crack your employee attrition for which you have been really bothering us for a very long time that you are not able to crack, and the main thing which I cited as an example to our CEO was attrition is not something which people are showing, right? In case you are not happy, you're not showing off to anyone. You are maybe silent, you are not. People are trying to hide it actively, right? That I'm okay, everything is okay, and suddenly they bring another offer and they say I'm quitting, right? So this is a behavior, human behavior, which people are actively hiding. Solving for it from data is very, very tricky and very difficult, but we managed to create this. And this was deployed again. From an outcome perspective, we saw it ran very well for 2-3 months, and then it did not run, right? The outcomes are our initial report side, which I'm talking about, 80% gain chart, it is not happening at all, right? So then we looked at maybe the factors at play then were not really relevant now, right? There is something else which is coming into picture. There are a few things which we saw, which we did not include then. When you join an organization, right, you're always looking for a buddy or a manager that who can help me guide and navigate things around, right? We see many of our people, they don't have a manager at all, right? They join the organization, first 20 days there's nobody, they plan to leave, right? So such factors we started incorporating into our models, and we are seeing again, I mean our understanding is every 2-3 months we need to understand, keep upgrading our models, or maybe start to keep doing feature engineering to drive a meaningful outcome here. Okay, coming on to employee segmentation. Yeah, this is a little different from a traditional employee segmentation. Because from a segmentation perspective, we always look at unsupervised learning, right? So in case I say clustering, I'm sure many people will talk about K-means, right? Or unsupervised side mostly, right? There are several others, other KNN, etc. So we wanted to segregate our people, 6,000 employees, to some meaningful buckets and say, okay, this person is consistently performing, this person is next to best, he has potential, and the third one is medium, not so good, but fourth one are really not doing anything, I mean, which we are expecting them to, right? So we divided them into our buckets, and then, but buckets were created in 3 ways. I mean, you have productivity matrix for yourself, whether you are able to bring files externally as your channel partner, and also quality of files, because you might be giving us 20 files, but our risk team says, no, we can't extend a loan to him, right? So it doesn't matter. You might bring 20, you might get disbursal for 1. So quality of work which you do also matters here. Yeah, so this is a little different approach. We traditionally started off with K-means clustering because we wanted to see how many meaningful clusters, right? Because I talked about your 4 clusters, right? Best, next to best, medium and average, medium and not so good. There might be 5, there might be 10, who knows, right? Because we have already done it, now we have given them meaningful names. We wanted to do K-means to understand how many clusters are logically possible, and then put a decision tree on top of it to actually segregate them basis few variables which I have mentioned here, right? So that we can code them. We wanted to see overall our performance, right? People who are in cluster A, are they still in cluster A next month? Are they moving to cluster B? Is there upgradation happening? Is there degradation happening in my performance? What is happening here, right? So we'll draw a lot of insights into employees once we have employee segmentation as a solution. Okay, yeah, this is identifying effectiveness of L&D program. This is a hypothesis-based testing which we have done, because I talked about whether it is driving meaning for you or not. In our situation, we have very tangible outcomes. Are people making incentives? Are people attracting more? And also, from the baseline which I was talking about, we have already seen that 6 months on, people are vintaged or tenured, right? They themselves know how to generate business, how to do well, right? But first 6 months is the most tricky one. Can my program help, right? And the module which we had in place, it was in 3 stages. So all 3 stages we have put up people, divided into groups, people who attended, people who did not attend. And we saw from our t-test here that it was driving very meaningful outcomes for us. And then we just gave a recommendation to our HR team that your program is good, it is helping in reducing attrition, increasing performance, so you should keep continuing it, there is no change required. Right? So these are the solutions which we have created so far. There are many more, right? Which is not really predictive analytics, but also they are in general understanding, right? For example, what if I open only women-led branches, right? Sales is typically not a job for women. And what if I have all the people in my entire branch as women, right? How will it affect? The first thing which, when this idea was pitched in, was that they have lower targets because they are females, right? But then the study, we had done a study that no, there is no difference, though there are only 5% of employees who are in sales who are females, but there is no difference in terms of their performance. They're very well, they're doing good at par with your male counterparts, and lower attrition as well in few pockets where maybe metro cities have definitely a lot of opportunities, so metros no, non-metros yes. Right? So these are some of the solutions which we managed to create. Another example, if my CTC is lower, am I likely to be a bad performer? Is my CTC really a benchmark for my performance, right? In sales terms. Again, it had come out that no, it is not, right? So a lot of such insights which actually helps our business to run in a much smoother fashion, build their intuition on how they should run it, is being done by my team. There is another interesting project which we are creating, which I have not listed here because it's still under construction, but it's on daily run rate. It's a very fancy outcome-based output, which is mostly sales-oriented teams are more interested to figure out. For example, I have a 2,000 crore disbursement in the next month I have to do, right? What is the daily amount of business I need to bring in, right? Given I know how many files gets approved, how much business will get converted historically, so I'm going to give you a daily run rate. Can I do the same thing for HR? I'm going to open 5 new branches in the country and requiring nearly 200 people. And you're telling me now, right? I have only 2 months to hire, but my notice period itself is 60 days. How do I bring people, right? That to 200 people all in one shot. So then, and obviously, whoever I'm offering, they're going to drop off, right? And people join and then they will leave also. So it's not like I've hired, they are there and they will quickly decide. So, can I have a daily run rate in the picture, right? And can I solve for it that every single day you need to extend 5 offers? In case you are not, it is going to pile up and then you are in a red zone that this branch is not able to meet its staffing targets, right? So that's all from me. I'll open the house for questions now.